All right. My name is Vincent.
I'm Nick.
And I'm also Nick. And I'm the Toxic Avenger. That's right. I am Toxie.
The Toxic Avenger. I can dig it. I can dig the Toxic Avenger.
Fun
but
fact,
explain
it's
to
an
me
actual
why you're the
movie.
Toxic Avenger.
Okay, so the Toxic Avenger is a movie reference to a movie called Toxie, the Toxic Avenger, the hero from Detroit.
Your boy from Detroit.
Your boy from Detroit.
That's not what I mean, but I mean like I'm probably and arguably factually legitimately not and literally the most toxic person on this podcast, because I can get pretty riled up real quick. And
I wouldn't disagree.
I know you wouldn't disagree. But I mean, I think I don't know, like I want to hit that because like we can all be toxic in our own ways. And like for me, I start fights, talk shit, and keep going, and that's bad. And like I know that's bad, and I'm trying to be better about it. But like everybody has a thing that they do when they're being toxic that's kind of specific to them. But like for me, growing up, that was the culture of like shit talking, you know? Because like I come like in my head, like the couch multiplayer split screen generation is a bunch of shit talkers.
Yeah.
You know?
I can see that.
So you say you're the most toxic. So like how would you like describe toxic? Like what does it mean to be toxic, and why are you the most?
Sorry, I'm trying to think about how to explain it.
Yeah. Because I think there's like, you know, like you said, like there's like trash talking and all this stuff, and I think like that's still a thing that happens, but I think it becomes toxic at a certain point. So what is that point? And like, do we just vibe check toxicity? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is the actual line? Is there like an actual line? Is there like a group line? Like, again, I think it's more of a vibe check. So,
Yeah,
like, what do you think? Like,
more of a vibe check. Definitely more of a. All right, I think I'm going a little bit too far. Like, or like your friends will be like, maybe calm down a little bit.
yeah, definitely. Like, what signs do you think like show like you may have crossed that line? Do you have any that like come to mind, either of you?
When people start to not have fun.
Yeah,
Like there's a
100%.
clear like you'll feel that vibe when like, you've been shit talking the whole time and like nonstop. No matter whether you're winning or you're losing, you're still going. And someone at some point probably said, "All right, man." Or
So what are those signs they give off that let you know they're no longer having fun?
a lack of like response answer.
Yeah.
Some like people start kind of going quiet. Like it's not as much fun for them to talk back if you already step past that line, because there's like there's a point for everybody, and everybody's point is different, where they're like, all right, enough of the jokes, was having fun with them, and now it's kind of like, can we move on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, for the longest time ever, I had the hardest time like stopping after I hit the line or stopping before the line.
Yeah.
Like for me, I tend to stop after the second line where people get off.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's like a big thing, is like when you start to feel like no one wants to talk anymore, or kind of like it just starts getting kind of quiet. It's like, oh, like something just happened. And it's like, you kind of like, me, you, anyone, like you kind of realize like that you did it, and then you kind of feel dumb. And it's like, oh, like what do I do now? Like, is it possible to keep playing in situations like that, or do you like to just call it? Like, what are your responses?
For me, I tend to just keep going, which is or like I used to keep going. Like I used to just keep playing or keep trying to play. And like a lot of the times I've noticed that people will often feel dejected and not want to keep going, and that's perfectly okay. You know, it's perfectly okay in like in reaction to someone being toxic for you to just be like, I'm done. I can't do it. You know, because no one should like have to be subjected to like consistent toxic behavior. You know, and that's not cool. Like there is a line between shit talking and toxic behavior, you know?
Yeah.
For me, like toxic behavior, like it ends up becoming like more shit talking and more and more and more and more and more. And it just keeps piling on. But it stops being funny after a while.
Yeah.
You know, when it stops being funny, then it's becoming toxic. Like even like I like to shit talk a lot, and that's kind of how I've always been. And I try to make it as funny as possible and not as pointed or like specific as possible. You know, and that's like where I'm at now versus where I was before when I would just keep going. And I think a lot of people stopped wanting to play games with me for a really long time because it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And like it when I'm winning, it's a lot more fun and lighthearted, but when I'm losing, it's a lot more aggressive and kind of rage inducing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think winning and losing kind of play a big part into like the tolerance of it too, which is a big factor. Like when you're winning a game, it's a lot easier to get away with like certain comments or like certain things you want to say, whereas like if you're losing, I think people tend to get a little more serious, so it like the line can get crossed a little sooner. And again, I think it's that it becomes like a vibe check thing, so you have to be careful when treading those waters. But
yeah, go for it.
I think that like setting precedent for like, or setting like some kind of expectation for like what you're playing to can kind of help with that. So like if someone's playing like a serious game, being like, we're going in this a little try hard, because some people like to try and like they get their enjoyment out of trying and like playing the game and having heavy focus. Like the more focus, the more fun, whether you win or lose. But then when you set the expectation of like, oh, we're coming in here, like we're gonna try, but you know, it's a for fun type thing, then I think it's a lot, you know, that you can make that seriousness from losing kind of not hurt so much.
Alleviation.
Yeah, you can alleviate that pressure of losing.
So like that's just me. What anything specific for you guys?
What about you, little Nick? Do you think you're toxic at all? Do you think like you have any toxic behaviors or anything like that?
Honestly, no, but when I was playing Valorant or like League and someone started shit talking, I'll just shit talk back and just make them completely stop playing.
Yeah.
Like
I was like, I think you're pretty low toxicity on
I really am, but like if they just keep like coming at me, I'll just throw everything back at them and just make them either stop playing the game or just shut up.
Yeah.
But that's like very rare.
So since you're like, we'll could call you low toxicity, do you ever feel like people are toxic to you a lot? Like, when is your line crossed? Do you feel like that happens often? And like, what are some of those things?
100%. Whenever I was playing like Valorant or League or Overwatch, that's why I stopped playing Overwatch with my friends, because they're just so fucking try hard when it came to those games, even though we weren't playing ranked or anything. It's like, hey, I'm playing for fun. I may not be the best, but you're the one who invited me to play.
Yeah.
It's like, either shut up and deal with it or just leave, because I'm just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
But
it's funny. What are some of the things like you think they do when like they're being toxic?
Try flexing.
Flexing?
Flexing, 100%. Flexing is Dude, like, I don't care what anyone says. If someone says like, "Oh, dude, I was gold last season," shut the fuck up. That doesn't mean anything to me.
So like, you don't like when people talk about like their merit.
100%. I don't give a shit half the time. Like, I'm not playing. Like, the only games I played for like actual rank was possibly Valorant and Apex Legends, but that's about it. Other than that, I only played ranked just so I could play against better people.
Yeah, I never think really that's worried. Kind of a good example of like something we can talk about, like when it comes to crossing the line, right? Because you say like you don't like when people flex, like their merit, like their rank or whatever. But then I was like, oh man, was I being toxic when I talked about like getting gold in league or like plat or something? And I'm like, I don't think I was.
No, but like,
and then I'm trying to think of like the difference. Do you think you spot the difference? Because I think I know.
100%. But because you could be like, oh, dude, like I reach gold or plat this season, blah blah. But when it comes to like down to shit talking, be like, bro, you're only silver and I'm gold 3. It's like, dude, shut up. It doesn't matter. We're literally on the same team.
So like when your own teammates being like, dude, I'm gold, listen to me. Like I'm the boss. Yeah. Like check it out.
Especially because like, whenever I played Valorant, I'm not the best at games. I'm gonna be 100%. I'm not good, in my opinion. But there are times where I do like really well and I pop off.
Yeah.
And then
that's what we live for.
Dude, that's literally like that's what gives you that serotonin boost you need in life. Mm-hmm. Just like good pop off.
That pop off juice.
Yeah. But like someone to be like, dude, go this way, like rotate B, and it's like, no, I'm gonna still go to A site and I'm gonna kill them. Watch.
Yeah.
And then I just use my ability, they die, and I defuse.
You do it. You do exactly
I do
what
it.
You wanted to.
I'm like, hey,
exactly.
I'm not gonna listen to you. Shut the fuck up.
Do you think there's room to like listen to people? Like, let's say you're playing pretty casually and someone's in like a lobby trying hard, right? Like, do you think it's toxic for them to be trying to like?
If they're
win?
Persistent.
Mm-hmm.
If they're
just
like
point do they
commanding
cross the line?
you, if they just keep commanding you and just keep shit talking you because of their rank last season, because I've gone up against players, because I was playing against this guy. He was like, dude, I was platinum last season. It's like, dude, you're in bronze right now. Shut up. I don't care what you were last season. It's what you are now.
I want to hit that. So like you said, like persistence, like aggressive persistence is like that point where they start to cross that line. But like say in that aggressive persistence, they do have those like nuggets of wisdom that kind of that lead the rest of the team, regardless of whether or not you are rejecting it. You know, is your like ignoring of that advice, regardless of what the rest of the team doing, also toxic in that form?
I was gonna say the same. I was gonna flip the script. I was gonna say, how do we know that your like lack of, I don't want to say cooperation, because obviously you're cooperating, but like your lack of like wanting to win as much, is that could that be considered toxic?
Just some clarity. I'm not saying that being a casual is toxic.
No, 100% I agree with you. But I also was thinking the other way.
Yeah. I could see that. Like, I'm the type of person that, like, if someone says, hey, can you go to this site? I'm be like, yeah, all right. I'll rotate to this site. Or just, like, if they ask me to do something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But if I'm already, like, on A site and they tell me to rotate all the way to B, I'm like, I'm already here. Like, I don't want to risk walking backwards and being shot at.
Yeah. Because, like, in my mind, let's say, like, you're like, I can imagine the scenario where the dude's like, hey, can you rotate to B? And you're like, all right, dude, I'll go. And that's totally chill and whatever. And that's, like, symbiosis. But then you have a conflict where it's like, hey, can you go up to B? And you're like, nah, dude, I'm already at A. And he's like, come on, dude, go to B. Like, we need you to go to B. And, like, he's being
when it comes to persistent. When it comes to that, because it all depends on what type of situation it is. So say everyone's at B and I'm at A. Mm-hmm. They're going to want me to rotate to B, but since I'm at A, I could just go the opposite way and attack the enemy from the other side.
Yeah.
So something like that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
I could totally see like this group being like, this dude's toxic because
100%. But I'm like I said earlier, I'm not the best, but I do make some pretty good plays. So what I used to do is I tell all my teammates or friends to just rush, I don't know, B site, and I rotate to A
in some game.
Then I just plant and then rotate back to B and follow the enemy from behind.
Okay, so I have another question.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you think skill makes up for your toxic behavior?
No.
No, but it could definitely help you win the game.
Yeah. Let's say, because this happens, right? Like, this happens to all of us. When you're playing a game, they're telling you to do something. You may be considered toxic because you're not cooperating. You prove them wrong. And then, all of a sudden, they're like, that was good, but you didn't, do what we said. La la la. And you're like, yeah, but I did the thing that got us to win. Or something of the sort. So does that, you know what I mean?
No.
Is it?
I hear what you're saying. I have an actual
really,
really good metaphor and reference right now that I think people will enjoy.
Go for it.
So I've been watching Drumline on my breaks lately.
The best movie ever created.
So good. Okay, so I think you'll remember this. But do you remember when Devin first makes P1 and he's doing his rehearsals on the field and Big Brother Iron Man is trying to get everybody to not look at their drums while they're drumming?
Yeah.
And he challenges Devin and Devin makes him look like an ass. And then Dr. Lee comes by,
slapping his drum.
Yeah, and he's they're both going at it, and they're both challenging each other, and then Iron Man fucks up, and then Devin looks good, and then Dr. Lee turns the corner. He's like, "Good job. You may have made him look bad, but you look like a jackass."
There we go.
And that's in my head how it feels like when, if the rest of the team is cooperating and you're not, and you do good, and because you're doing good, the team wins, you may have done good, but you were still kind of an ass about not working with the team. And I think that.
But to be fair, that's what they get for being an asshole in the first place.
But that's not necessarily saying that they were an asshole in the first place. That's just saying that you decided to go do your own thing.
Yeah. I think it's kind of cool because one person can feel like the other 5 are being toxic and the 5 can feel like the 1 is being toxic. So it's sometimes you'll be playing a game where you're doing really bad and they're like, dude, cut it out. And it's how do you just cut it out, right? You can't just cut out being bad sometimes. Me being bad is not toxic behavior. Things like that. And I think it sucks when it goes the other way and you do good. And like you said, you still look like a jerk. And sure, you win, but it's people still hate you. And it's or vice versa. They flip the switch and they're like, oh man, let's start listening to this guy. But I think it sucks because sometimes there's a conflict in interest, and I think that's poor communication. But it's both people think they're doing the right thing. So it's we can discuss these plans and opt to one, because 2 people trying to do 2 different plans that they think is each better is never going to work as well as just opting for one of them and just doing full force.
It's definitely a toss-up, especially when it comes to strategic games like Valorant, where it's all right, you 2 smoke here, go to this site, because sometimes Valorant has even 3 sites sometimes. So there's A, B, and C. So that's where it becomes a little bit more lenient, in my opinion. But I listen, if someone says, hey, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Will it win us the game? Possibly. Will it not? Possibly.
So but I want to hit that real quick, because in those types of games where like voice chat is crazy important, like Rainbow Six, Apex, Valorant,
I hate when people just don't use it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't use it, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't want to hear anyone else because of so much toxicity.
Yeah, but in those types of games, like that type of like communication and like consistent communication is important to success. You know, and when you get into a chat, like it's all fun, like it's all good when everyone's like joking around and shit, right? Like they're just shooting the shit, right? But like in those types of games, someone needs to step up to make the calls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to make that transition to success between everybody's individually good doing individually good to we need to work as a team to be as a team good versus individually good. And oftentimes people will try to take leadership roles and then immediately be rejected by people who are trying to be casual.
Yeah.
Right? And that's like...
Or other people trying to be leaders.
Yeah. And
like everyone thinks they're the leader or everyone thinks the leaders needs to back off and chill.
Yeah. It's really up to like how the game is being played, right?
It's up to you to make a difference.
Only you can stop wildfires. But like in that situation where like being in like a team comms situation and someone's taking that leadership role, do you oftentimes accept that or reject that?
Me personally, I am pretty good at gauging like the room. So like if people are okay with it, but if people start getting like, oh no, dude, like that's not gonna work, like oh my god, then I'll just be like, all right, do what you want. Like I don't care. But I think like I don't know. That's just how it is for me.
It all just depends on how the game is leading.
Yeah, it definitely does. And again,
what
I
type
think
of game
all
it
comes
is
down
also
to like winning and losing. Like losing can really affect this thing, but winning can also let you get away with a little more. Being like, I told you I did do it. Oh man, I guess you were right. Whatever, vice versa.
But I think that there's like an inherent amount of trust that you have to be willing to give in those types of games that I don't think a lot of people are willing to. Like say you're playing in like a full 5 stack for League, and let's say you, Vincent, are in charge of the team, and you're like, they're going to Baron, we need to group up a Baron, and I say, nah, they're going to Dragon, and then I go to Dragon, and they're at Dragon, but all of our team went to Baron. Am I the asshole for not listening?
Yeah, that's the weird part, and it's like
that's why it all depends on what situation it is.
Yeah. Because what could something like that happening and be like you getting caught out, and it's like because there's like two options, right? Like you guys can make the wrong play together and then be able to work together to fix it, or someone could reject the call, do their own thing, and make it even worse, right? Like, in that situation specifically, had you followed the team to one, we would have lost the dragon, but we would have lost the dragon together. Or we see they're a dragon and be able to rotate and make a counterplay. But if you reject it, they capitalize on you not being with your team, screwing up, and then you come out of that saying, I told you guys they were a dragon, and the rest of the team's like, yeah, but you just
left everyone.
Yeah. You have now set us back by making your own call.
No, I would say...
it's all situational and toss-ups.
Situation, but yeah, like you said, it's situational. It changes. It's just funny how conflict of interest can really create like toxicity in that. I think one of the things I hate in toxic behaviors is like feeding or like working against your
intentionally
team.
Throwing.
It's the worst. It is absolutely the worst because I can't control you. Like, and someone being like, we're losing because I didn't get what I want.
That's
is
just
the worst.
Shitty.
That's
hate it.
The most dumbest mindset ever. Purposely throwing.
So
stand it.
I have been on the intentional throwing side of things. Not because I didn't get what I want, but because I needed to be somewhere else, even though I started a game.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Which is still your fault.
Which isn't cool. It's not cool at all. Like,
yeah.
But like I used to have this tendency of like being busy with other things, but starting a game of League. And like at the time, I was good enough to know which fights to throw for us to just finish the game right there.
Mm-hmm.
Or how many fights I would have to throw for us to lose. And I think I told you about this, Vincent. And you told me that's a shitty thing to do. Don't ever do that with me.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Sounds like
you didn't say
I will
shitty.
stop playing with people.
You didn't say it's a shitty thing. You said
annoy
that
me.
is an awful thing to do, and don't you do that when you play with me.
Yeah.
And I never did it again.
Yeah, I think me personally, I'm pretty good at being like, I don't care if you do that, but I'm not going to play with you. Like, and I think I'm pretty enjoyable to play with. Like, if that's how you want to play, that's cool, but not with me. Like, I won't play with you for long. Like, not you, but like royal you. But, you know, it's like anyone like does something like far-fetched. I'll say like, I don't want to play with this person. It's nothing against him, and I don't hate him, but it's like this behavior is like not acceptable by me.
Now, I have a question. Is there any like, not so much aggressive toxic behavior, but like minute toxic behavior that like gets under your skin? Like it could be like something really, really small to like something like comparably to like throwing a game or just throwing a fit. You know, what's like a small thing that really gets under your skin?
I hate when people are like I think I have a pretty good sense for games, so I know what I'm doing, and a lot of the time I am playing casually. So like I don't like when someone's like, you could be doing that, you could be doing that. Why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, I've thought of that already. Like, I just don't care. Like, like leave me alone. Like, stop trying to like dictate all my everything. Like, someone will be like, why didn't you do that? And I'm like, because I don't care. I don't care right now. It's not the thing I want to do. I want to do this thing. I'm specifically going out of my way to do this other thing because I don't care about that right now. I don't like it. I don't like when people try to like dictate or like micromanage my gaming, I guess. That's toxic. Don't do that. And then they like complain. Like if you're playing like a platformer and they're like, oh, you have to do this. You have to do that. And I'm like, I know. I'm checking something. But I'm not going to say I'm checking something because I'm just playing the game. They'll be like, you have to like do that. Oh, say you died. And they'll like do that stuff. And I'm like, I know. Like, go away. Like, you don't have to tell me. I know what I need to do. You're right. It's a matter of like, do I want to do it right now? So I don't like when people don't let me play the game.
I have a note on those types of people because if you don't, like, I think for a lot of them, it's like explaining what you're doing will oftentimes make them go away versus just ignoring them or being like, I know. You know? Like, that's just me. Like, if you were to be like, I'm just going to do this first, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'll just shut up and watch. You know?
Well,
because
the thing is, it's not that, like, yeah, because I think you're right. I think, like, simply, like, saying, like, oh, I'm doing this first. But I think, like, a lot of the time, like, people say this thing, and they think you didn't see it. And then when you do decide to do it, they take credit for it. And I'm like, I was already going to do that. That's different though. I think that one's still like in line with this whole thing, but it is also different than like for me personally. What about you, Little Nick? Is there something like really, really small that'll like get under your skin?
Just persistence. Like if someone just keeps telling me to do something over and over again.
What about good persistence? You got this, Nick. Get in there.
Well, then that's different. But even then, I'll be like, shut the fuck up. Let me concentrate. But
I don't have to root you on anymore.
No, but like there isn't really much like it's under my skin. Really, I'm relatively I just do my own thing.
Yeah.
And just ignore like assholes. Really. but there isn't like specifically one thing. Like the only thing I can say is just someone being persistent on or adamant on one thing.
So those are some like toxic like things, but like let's get back to like
Trash talking.
what makes it toxic. Like it ruins vibes. What does it do? Like why are we calling this toxic when you can do it in one situation but you can't in another situation? Like trash talking is okay sometimes, but other times it makes it toxic. Like what is that toxic? I want to get to the core. Like what makes something toxic? Is it like negatively affecting the entire session?
I think
Like-
that's like a good point. Like when the trash talking starts to negatively affect people, you know? Like beyond like, oh, it's just throwing me off my game, right? Because a lot of trash talking is meant to throw you off your game. But there's a certain point where that trash talking starts to like if it starts to legitimately evoke like emotional reactions, rage, sadness,
Anything visceral?
yeah, like anything
Yeah.
visceral. If it starts to start evoking those things, then you're kind of probably getting hit by that. It starts becoming toxic to you. And I think toxic behavior is subjective to the person that it is affecting.
Yeah.
What's toxic for you might not be toxic for me. What might not be
Exactly.
toxic for Lil Nick. You know, it's entirely subjective, and that's what makes it really hard to manage in games. You know,
Yeah.
for me, like for certain people, shit talking is cool. They don't care. It doesn't affect them in any way. But for other people, shit talking can make them feel really, really bad. And that's also not good. I mean, a lot of the people that I've met through video games is from shit talking and like fellow shit talkers. But that's me. And that's not everybody. And shit talking is okay as long as you don't start attacking people.
Yeah.
You know? That's just for me though. I don't know about you guys.
Well, here's another follow-up question. Is obvious question, but I want to hear an answer. Why is toxicity bad? What makes it bad? Like why don't you want toxic behavior?
Because it screws up the whole vibe.
But I mean, beyond like the vibe, there's an answer there. I don't have it for you. And that sounds awful. Like we've been talking this whole episode about toxicity being bad, but I can't tell you why it's bad.
Well,
Because it keeps going.
what are some of those outcomes that like really make it so you don't want something toxic? Like one for me is like it ruins my current session, and then two,
It's gonna
maybe
bring you down the
future
next
sessions.
session.
Yeah, like maybe I don't want to like play with someone.
Yeah. Like it just, like you said, it just takes away from things. And I think that's the answer I was trying to look for, but like I couldn't put into words, I guess.
Remember, guys, toxicity is corrosive. Okay,
That's
it
the point.
melts away at game sessions and friendships. Okay.
So we've been talking about toxicity, but I also wanted to hit on trash talk. Like as on its own versus it being part of toxicity. You know,
Okay.
because for me growing up and trash talking on the couch is something that you just do. It's a lot of fun. You can it's a different vibe than online, and I like
Yeah.
part of me feels like because of online culture and anonymity that trash talk is toxic, but only because of anonymity,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you think it's because of anonymity or the vulgarity of certain things? The intensity of it changes.
I think half the things that I say online that I might also say in person would be taken differently. Because there is no vocal tone when you type something out.
Yeah.
Like in person, I could say, your mom's a hoe, and you'd know I'm joking. But in like a video game, if I say your mom's a hoe, it just sounds like your mom's a hoe. It sounds straight-faced. It sounds...
So do you think delivery plays a big part?
I think so. Delivery and situation is a big part of trash talking. You know,
because I feel like you could type your mom's a hoe and get away with it. But it all depends on, again, the context of what's going on, right? What's your timing? Are you saying this while someone feels like garbage? Yeah. Or are you saying this when, like, you're winning?
When you start the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have like played games with me for a really long time. Like,
correct.
I tend to trash talk the moment I get a chance to.
Yeah.
And
I'm just curious. I would like to break this down.
I think tone and delivery are a big part of why trash talking is sometimes okay and sometimes not okay. And it depends on the situation. Though I have to say, like, when I trash talk, you might be coming into this game having a real shit day. And this might be the one thing that, like, tips your day over, you know? And that's understandable. And it feels bad to be that guy to tip the boat over. But it's not necessarily my fault. And maybe that's just me rejecting the fault. But trash talking, in my opinion, is okay as long as everybody isn't being hurt by it.
As long as everyone's on the same page.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing, is making sure that everyone gets it or gets what's happening.
Like, what about you guys? Because I've played games with you two a lot. Little Nick, you do trash talk sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Vincent, it's just friendly banter. I know that not everyone's taking it seriously. Or I hope that they don't take it seriously. And I do try to, either before or after, be like, hey, just remember, none of this is actually, like, intentional. Or, like, don't get hurt by it, because it's all just for fun. Kind of like Among Us. Like, you don't want people to get butthurt in Among Us. It does happen. Like, it happens to me. But I know it's just a fucking game. Don't
game
take it too serious.
Specifically is the worst.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Because everyone thinks that they're being targeted. And it's like, no. Everyone fails to convince people sometimes. Get over it. Like,
sometimes it's unanimous, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, and like it's hard to like get past that, because it took me a few games. When the game first came out specifically, I would get really annoyed. And I'm like, yeah, no one's listening to me this time. But there's some games where they don't listen to you, or they don't listen to you, or like they automatically know, or like they take a chance on you. And I'm like, it's so random. Like Little Nick may feel like, you know, he's getting voted off every time,
which is true.
But it's like, but I get voted off all the time too. But it's not true, because we both can't be getting voted off all the time. Everyone feels like they're getting, you know what I mean? So like that game's good at making everyone feel like they're being targeted. But it's just because there's so many games, right? Like they're like 6-7 minutes long, and it's like time for a new one. And it's like, it could be 5 games ago where you were killed first, and you could just feel like you're being killed first, right? And it's like all the time. And it's like, once you learn that it doesn't matter, because one day they're not going to believe you. The next day, they're going to trust you with all their heart. And then the next day, they're going to vote you out immediately. Then, like, you're good. And when you can laugh at, like, losing is when it starts to help and feel a lot better.
But, I could see that 100%.
But, you know, that game is crazy.
Just like,
because you want to be believed, when you're supposed to be believed, and you want people to be tricked when they're supposed to be tricked. But it's like, that's the nature of the game. And it's like...
I just think about, like, in real life, because the exact same thing would just happen in real life. But, yeah, just letting people know that whatever you say should not be taken seriously or literally. But sometimes, even though you say that, it still affects people.
Yeah. And I think to some degree it will always affect people.
100%.
But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about that.
Yeah, as long as people are on the same page, I feel it's completely fine.
Yeah, setting expectations is kind of a big thing. And like knowing your crowd. So, yeah. Lay it on me. Anything else?
I actually don't think I have anything else, and this has been real insightful.
It's a learning experience.
As like someone who is kind of reforming, being toxic and trying to like fix their social skills a bit, I'm trying to learn to be better. And like just like everybody's got like small things that they do, right? And you just kind of have to learn how to not be like that. And some people don't want to learn how not to be like that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like, it's really up to you on like how you want to play games and live your life. But like for me, I gotta fix how I am because
I think it's hard too, because sometimes with like certain things you wonder like, oh, you guys just aren't like, not you specifically, but like some people might be like, oh, you guys are just like babies and can't take it. And it's like, well, why does your fun come from doing that? Like, why is that the fun part for you? Or like, you know what I mean? Like certain things would be like, oh, I'm just kidding around, I'm just having fun, you know, me not playing well is like me just having a good time, and throwing the game is just fun. It's like, don't take it seriously, it's just a game. It's like, well, other people are like actually trying. It's like, so why do you have fun by ruining other people's fun, or like not allowing other people to have fun? And I think that is kind of like, I think that's what I can consider like toxic behavior. It's like when your fun originates from ruining other people's fun, or like maybe not intentionally, but that's what it's doing. So it's like, why do this if this isn't the thing you're going to be doing? Like, why are you playing this if this isn't the thing you want to play? Like, or like find people who want to do what you're doing, because right now you're on a completely different page and it's ruining the fun for everyone else. So,
yeah.
That's how I see it.
So I wanted to, let's hit this on the lighter note here. I wanted to check in with you guys on our quote unquote book club games.
Who's playing Custom Robo?
I've played another 5 minutes of it this week. Sorry, I started going back to school and I have a lot less time.
100%.
So
I understand.
I promise I'll get to it.
What about you, little Nick?
I'm not gonna lie, I've just been jamming on Skyrim more. I haven't touched it. I'll go back to it 100% because it is fun.
I started Dragon Age Inquisition.
Did you? Okay, so what do you think? I'm really interested.
I'm only like an hour in.
That's enough.
Not very far.
You just talk to me. I got you. I know exactly where you are.
I don't like that I have to left click to pick stuff up. I had to reverse that immediately. All right.
I played with the controller, so.
Yeah, I tried. Don't like it.
Okay.
It's weird because, like, when you enter combat, the controls kind of, you're strafing and stuff. It's not like
it's funky.
MMO natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It's really dependent on how you like to play, because you could play the game like a tab target MMO, or you could play it like a hack and slash. And I think that's...
That being said, I like it. I like the animations for everything. I
Nice.
like how I'm like constantly attacking. As a mage, I always have like these little shooty balls flying everywhere. I actually enjoy talking to the people and like having like choices and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Do you have
That's
a favorite
really fun.
character?
I like the hoe who lets you out of jail. She's mean, but I like her.
Cassandra.
Yeah.
I like
I think
Cassandra
that's her
too. She's great.
name.
You're only an hour in, so you only have Cassandra, Varric, and Solus.
Yeah, all like my party members have
Yeah.
a little dwarf, the little bald mage, the other chick.
Yeah. I love that game a lot. I've played it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
cool. It's cool so far though.
yeah, I'm glad you like it. Lil Nick, what about you? You started playing Inquisition?
I have it installed.
Progress.
He's like, I looked at all the games.
Well, like when I tried playing it, it just did not want to load up. I think I have to load it up through the Origin thing,
Mhm.
but
Okay.
it just did not want to open.
Origin. Yeah, you do have to do it through Origin. Not a big fan of, but I did it anyway.
Hear what
I-
you're saying.
I just don't like having other launchers. Like I
Me
know
neither.
Steam
Me
is like a monopoly at this point for it, or for like the best launcher and just having everything. But like,
Yeah.
give me an option to like, or I think there is an option to just open like whatever games you have through Steam.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
can, but it also opens
Yeah,
up
you
the
can.
launcher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
Um,
I just
so
hate launchers in general.
Me too.
As we kind of finish up this episode, I just want to say that I don't think any of us, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I don't think we on the Espas podcast condone toxic ass behavior.
We do not.
So don't be an asshole.
Don't
And
be a jerk.
we love you guys, and we appreciate that you listen to us every week. You can catch us at spluspod@gmail.com if you have any questions. We also have an
You
Instagram.
can comment on the YouTube. You can comment
Please.
on the Instas. You can comment on the Twitters. You can follow all these things.
at spluspod.
Why aren't you? Why aren't you sharing it with your friends? Share
Vincent,
it with
don't
your
attack.
friends.
Stop attacking them. Just sign off.
Sure.
Dude, you're being toxic, Vince.
Oh my god.
With your friends, dude. If you want to win, you gotta
Ooh.
share it with your friends. Do you not want to win, huh? What's your problem? I was gold.
That was
Then
gold.
I was freaking diamond. What is it called now? Master tier? I was master tier. dude.
I went to Challenger.
I'm a challenger
Dude,
player.
I'm best friends with Double Lift.
I was Iron 1. What's good?
I only
I
lost to
fucks
double
with
lift
it.
twice out of our freaking
Oh my god. Just sign
3D.
off. Get out of here.
best of 3. All right. I'm Vincent.
I'm Nick.
And I'm also Nick. And we'll catch you later.
Nerds.